I'm figgity fucked up. I'm figgity fucked up. What up, Naughty Steppers? Connor Whitmore here again with another review for you on the Nawtystep channel. And in today's video, I'm going to be talking about the new EP from Excision and Wooli, Evolution. This is the second collaborative collection this year from Mr. Jeff Abel, aka Excision. A quick follow-up to Breaking Through alongside Dion Timmer, which released in June. And now it's the turn of someone from another end of the dubstep spectrum altogether, Adam Puleo, aka Wooli, who with the likes of Company has popularised the BRIDDIM style of production over the last couple of years or so, blending the loudness of brostep with the percussive backdrop of RIDDIM, hence the conjoining to make BRIDDIM. Releasing for Never Say Die, collaborating with the likes of Snails and Tynan, and garnering a loyal fanbase along the way. And when news of this collaborative EP came about initially, I can't say I was that taken aback by it. Both Abel and Puleo possessing very large sounds of different kinds, X more robotic and Wooli more atmospheric and booming. And I was interested as to how the two would combine, whether they would find a true median between their two styles. And do they find that sweet spot across these 4 songs? In part, but overall, not really. There's enough evidence on Evolution of X and Wooli's sounds working together, in the simplest terms. But on a level of producing interesting creative results, the project falls seriously short. The main reason for this being that so much of the EP sounds like every single BRIDDIM track I've already heard. The drops on the opener Lockdown are so boring and everyday that I don't really see the point in the song at all. I've heard that so many times before. It's just staple Wooli BRIDDIM with a couple of X sounds thrown in there, nothing special at all. And I can hear all of you in the back there saying, well, what did you expect? I don't know, maybe a little ingenuity, a little invention. Drops that are just there as opposed to having anything purposeful about them, very ordinary and basic. The I'm on a vocal sample also gets quite annoying by the end, not to mention the harsh presentation of those pre-drop fake-outs. The most offensive BRIDDIM example on the EP, however, arrives midway through the final cut, Another Me, alongside 7 lines. It's just a more depressed feeling, hollow, empty version of the BRIDDIM I was talking about earlier. How this differs considerably in any way from over 90% of the BRIDDIM I've already heard, I do not know. It's copy and paste stuff at this point. Where I would say the BRIDDIM does work, however, is on the 3rd and title track. Whilst the first drop is again extremely ordinary, the middle or double drop really picks the track and EP up. Nice contrast, relationship and dynamic between the sounds on offer here, more force to it than the others resultantly. And I must admit, on my first listen of this EP, that was the first moment that my ears truly pricked up. The final drop is pretty huge as well, nice contrast and dynamic again between the sounds going on, force is spot on. The only problem I have with these better drops being that it's pretty hard to find the X in there. They do just sound like Wooli drops. Beyond that though, we have the pair delving into more euphoric and uplifting forms of heavy electronic music. Not that that switch in mood unleashes much of note in the EP, on an ideas level it's equally as bland as what I discussed earlier. Track 2, Oxygen, is another very plain song, seems like it was made in a hurry compared to the others, and that is really saying something. The chord progressions in the drops aren't really giving me anything, not much to them, again they're just there. Just so wishy-washy and bland. The kind of song that people will sing at Lost Lands with their lighters in the air, solely for the sake of it having this dreamy, ethereal vibe to it. The vocal, moreover, from Julianne Hope, complements the instrumental well, in that I don't really get any feeling from it. Becomes prettier somewhat over time as you get used to it, but at its core very meh. I could say the same for Dylan Matthews' vocal in Another Me, which does play a part to be fair in making the 2 main builds quite enjoyable, but which for the most part is a little bit naff, again just being sweet and light for the sake of it, very little feeling behind it. There is a bit of feeling to the melodic drops here though, still very straightforward but not quite as much as others here. Sam King's vocal in Evolution is for me the only off thing about that song, not bad in itself but whenever it comes in it's completely out of nowhere. Like, the point of having a vocalist is for them to tell the song's story, you can't just dump snippets of their voice in the builds and expect that to work. Another thing that I feel Evolution lacks as a project is enough respect for the EP's title and the concept surrounding it. The opening to the EP on Lockdown is just another futuristic, robotic, machine-like Excision introduction that I don't really see the point of. I've heard it all before. Having a scene-setting opening sequence with primal and tribal sounds and samples would have been way more apt as a reflection of the EP's title. Something we finally get a taste of on the title track, a little nod to the evolution theme that I think is done quite well, albeit brief. And the prehistoric effects laced throughout the song give it a very atmospheric, intimate, almost visceral appeal. Oh man, like, that's chill-inducing. Like, more stuff like that would have been so good. But unfortunately, that is one of a very small number of positive moments littered across Evolution. Overall, this EP is just very plain and basic. There's no better way that I can describe it really. I don't get very much from it at all. You can hear X and Woolly's sounds working together, but whether they produce anything particularly interesting is another matter. Even my favourite moments here aren't anything new. The ingenuity, flavour, inventiveness are almost non-existent. I'm not saying I expected a lot from this collaborative EP, but on an ideas level I definitely hoped for more than what we get. Which I think is completely fair. You have one producer labelled as the father of dubstep with 4 studio albums behind him, and the other apparently one of the most exciting acts in the genre right now. We don't see much proof of those credentials. And it leaves me wondering as to where they're both at now, X seemingly running out of ideas at an increasing rate over the last few years or so. And Woolly, I mean, where does he take his sound from here? BRIDDIM is still of course very young, but it already seems completely exhausted and worn out. I hope for them going forward, I really do, but on the evidence of this EP, it feels like they're both at a creative crossroads. A collection that seems very cool on paper, but for the most part, very much flatters to deceive. Now in terms of my favourite on the EP, then I think I would have to go with the title track, Evolution, a mile and away the best for me on the EP, most impactful drops, and the only tribute to the EP's title and theme through the sampling and sound usage. And if you would like some recommendations for similar sounding stuff, if you enjoyed the EP, yeah, there is a lot of BRIDDIM here, so I would just look at more Woolly, but also Company. The Woolly will also cover the melodic heavy stuff here as well. And so there we have it, my thoughts on the new EP from Excision and Woolly, Evolution. What did you guys make of the EP? Do you have a favourite track from the 4? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this review, then be sure to give it a big old thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Hit the notification bell along the way so you can be notified whenever I upload a new video to the channel, and my social media accounts are linked in the description box down below. For some other EP reviews on the channel, check out the link next to my head somewhere. And lastly, if it's naughty, then you know guys, so be sure, as always, to keep it naughty and stay safe. And I shall see all of you legends in the next one. Peace out.